This is PIX on Politics Daily with Dan Manarino.
Hi there, I'm Henry Rosoff. Welcome to PIX on Politics Daily. I'm back. Dan is still out. You're stuck with me again, but we've got a good show for you today. A lot happening in New York politics. Of course, just yesterday we were covering the race for mayor pretty intensely, specifically former Governor Andrew Cuomo's housing proposal, which was created in part with the help of ChatGPT, and that really had people talking. Well, today we are moving across the river and diving into the race for Jersey City mayor. New Jersey's second biggest city, easily the most dynamic and changing city. And we have Councilman James Solomon joining us, one of the candidates for Jersey City mayor. James, thanks for coming on.
Henry, thank you for having me.
Let's start with something that's been in the headlines, something I know you've spoken about quite a bit. This tragic and unfortunate situation involving the death of 6 people in that helicopter crash in the Hudson River, much closer to the Jersey side than the New York side, although it launched here, as most of them do, from the South Street Seaport. Tell me your thoughts on helicopter safety, and if elected mayor, what would you try to do to improve the safety of touring by air?
Yeah, well, look, I think my views are reflected in my anger at the way the CEO of New York Helicopters reacted. He said that sometimes machines break, and that's just a wild thing to say when it's your machine that people are riding on and that 6 people just died on. And that lack of concern for the safety of residents, I think, is reflected in the broader tourist helicopter industry. So I support the proposals to ban non-essential helicopter flights in the region. They come from both New York City and New Jersey. They create extraordinary quality of life issues, but more importantly, extraordinary safety hazards. You know, we've had 2 fatal crashes in the last decade, but if those helicopters had not landed in the rivers, but had landed on land, you could have had extraordinarily, greater loss of life. So I fully support the bans, and as mayor, I don't have direct control to do that, but I would use my power and my voice to push our state legislature on the New Jersey side, to push the FAA on the national level to implement those bans.
So I get that in mayor, you just articulated you don't have the power, but do you not have any sort of regulatory power as far as trying to position these businesses or monitor these businesses? Obviously, the federal government controls the skies. We all understand that. But is there no move you can make if elected mayor as you read the statutes?
It's just using the bully pulpit. You know, the main helicopter location in New Jersey is Kearny. So that's our neighboring town. So the mayor of Kearny would actually have some ability with zoning regulations related to the heliport in her town. But the Jersey City mayor, we don't have any heliports from which tourist helicopters launch.
So let's dive into the race for mayor. It's really picking up intensity now. June 10th is the primary, if I'm not mistaken, with early voting starting about a week before that, running for several days. Tell the voters a little bit about yourself here as we enter the home stretch. What do you feel sets you apart in this crowded field?
Sure, I appreciate it. The one thing, just to make sure to clarify, for Jersey City mayor, our election is actually November 4th. So we have the gubernatorial primary on June 10th, so both in the Democratic and Republican gubernatorial primaries, but my race will be November 4th. But we are heating up. Even if we're 6 months out, we know we got a lot of work to do in Jersey City. So I'm running to create change in Jersey City. Jersey City, across the city from New York, we've gotten as expensive as New York has. Our property taxes have increased 40% in the last 3 years. Our rents have increased by a similar amount, and people are finding it harder and harder to live in Jersey City. So we're basically running with a promise not to take donations from Jersey City real estate developers, because too often Jersey City has sacrificed the good of the broader community for what's good for developers. And that's what needs to change. So we're going to build thousands of units of affordable housing. We're going to, as we proudly say, get done and deliver city services effectively, and do it by not embracing New Jersey politics as usual, but by actually trying to deliver good, clean government.
And you mentioned just combating corruption there, which I know is an important plank of your platform. Let's dive a little bit deeper into that, because I think it's interconnected with the get stuff done. You can say the other S word, I'll say stuff. But it's interconnected, right? Because corruption drags on city services. How do you view that? How will you combat corruption?
Yeah, unfortunately, both New York and New Jersey have been in the news for corruption in the last couple of years. Our senator, took gold bars from a real estate developer. You couldn't imagine a more venal crime. But, it's not just the thing that makes us feel yucky. It makes your property taxes higher. It makes your quality of city services lower. To use a direct example here in Jersey City, our trash vendor is a major donor. They donate to major politicians. They're donating to my opponent, Governor McGreevey, and they deliver a poor service. Their trash is, our streets are dirtier the day after trash collection than the day before. And so they make quality of life worse, and they use the corruption of the political system to keep their jobs and take your money. And so we're running to change that. We are put out a really, really strong set of anti-corruption policies, and we want to change that culture of pay to play that governs too much of New Jersey and New York politics.
And you mentioned Governor McGreevey, so let's go ahead and just name check, if I may, the other candidates in this race. You have Musab Ali, former president of New Jersey City Board of Elections. You have Flash Gordon, a Parks and Recreation employee. You have the former Governor McGreevey. You have Bill O'Day, Hudson County Commissioner. You have yourself. You have Joyce Waterman, president of the New Jersey Jersey City Council in an at-large district. I mean, you have a lot of people running. So you mentioned former Governor McGreevey, but it's not just him, right? And a lot of people have raised already quite a lot of money in this race. So talk about what you view as your path. I don't mean to get too gamey and politico here, but what do you see as your path? What voters do you think you appeal to most?
Yeah, absolutely. Our path is similar to the path that our now Senator Andy Kim took in New Jersey, which was taking on the political machine. Right. I have been proud in my 8 years on the council to be independent from the political machines here in Jersey City and New Jersey, which are some of the strongest in the country. And voters at the end of the day want that. They want an elected official who puts them first and doesn't have a boss. And so many of the political bosses, both in Jersey City and across the state, are pouring money into my opponents, primarily the former governor, but some money into the other campaigns as well. And I think our path is to basically build the Andy Kim coalition. Build that coalition of folks, whether progressive or moderate, whose number one concern is getting elected officials into office who have a track record of putting people first and not kowtowing to political bosses.
And I think that also really enters into, you mentioned housing as one of your top issues, right? I mean, you say you don't take real estate dollars. You'll need the real estate industry one way or another to build, right? So talk about how you strike that relationship, strike that balance, even though you're making clear to them you're not in their pocket, right? So I get that you don't want to be bought and paid for by anyone. No politician does. But at the end of the day, these are people you need. So how are you going to get housing built if elected?
Yeah, although I would disagree with the last comment. I think there are a few politicians that are happy to be bought and paid for. They're not going to say that publicly, but their track record says that that's how they operate. But no, you hit the nail on the head, right? So Jersey City, our challenge, we've built more housing than New York City on a per capita basis, 6 times the more housing as New York City. But our challenge is we can't build our way out of the housing crisis because New York is across the river. We're just sucking up the housing demand over here. So what we have to do is maximize the affordable development of Jersey City. Yes, we need to develop because we can't build affordable homes without a private developer choosing to move a project forward. So my plan is basically to set some tougher mandates, require 20% affordable housing in larger new developments, but then make sure that we work and that the finances make sense to have a developer build, because they will not choose to build unless it does make sense on their end. I think we can do that. I think I've done that so far as a council member with development in my district, and I'll be able to do that as a mayor citywide to ensure we get the affordable homes that we need. Yes, do our fair share of market rate housing, but that's no longer going to be our number one priority. Our number one priority is going to be affordable housing.
And how does it work on the council currently? For example, I'm just being honest, I'm more familiar with the New York City City Council, where the local council person has a lot of discretion about approving projects, usually in this city demands a lot of affordable housing, but top-down efforts have been met with a lot of resistance, be it from the governor level or the mayor level. And what you're talking about is sort of a top-down quota system. Do you worry you'll run into sort of blockades there if you go down that path?
It's a great question. Jersey City operates a little differently. We do have more of a top-down structure. We have a strong mayor system, and the mayor does have greater authority over the development process than individual council people, although individual council people do have a say in new projects in their districts. So I think if we set a strong affordable housing requirement that is citywide, that can't be negotiated away, that's going to provide the clear both mandate, but also clear direction for developers to know exactly what we're asking for. And we think that's essential to the future of Jersey City. Jersey City is the most diverse city in the country with respect to our neighbors across the river, and it's something we take great pride in. And we can't lose that as the city gets more and more expensive and less affordable for everyday folks. So we need a mayor whose number one commitment is building more affordable homes.
Well, Councilwoman Solomon, we'll leave it right there. Thank you again for hanging out with us. Thank you for correcting me on the election day. We got to get that right. It is November 4th for the Jersey City elections, including the mayor's race, of which you are candidate. And I can tell you, everyone at home, we will have all of the candidates cycle through the show. We'll give everyone a fair chance and a fair shake here to make their case. But that does it for this episode of PIX on Politics Daily. You can catch us every day at this time, 1 o'clock on PIX Plus. You can catch, of course, PIX on Politics, the big show. We've got a good one planned for you this week, Friday at 6:30 with a re-air Sunday morning. For now, I'm Henry Rosoff, wishing you a good day.